Hi everyone, welcome back. You're at Michelle's Home and Garden, and I am so glad you're here with me today on this Sunday stroll. So this is going to be the July back garden tour, and I want to show you all the things that are growing right now. And as you may know, if you're a returning subscriber, you're going to see the stuff that we've worked on all summer long. A lot of the plants are new, but then I have some more established plants too. And then the big project this backyard summer was the edging. So the edging's all finished. So I'm totally excited to show you what's in bloom for July. And I just want to thank everyone that's joined our group. This is a fairly new YouTube channel. I've only been posting videos for the last couple months, so this is my first season. So I appreciate all of you that are coming along. I appreciate all my new visitors that are stopping by, and I hope you end up subscribing and joining our community because we would love to have you. That was my goal for starting the YouTube channel, was I wanted to grow a community of like-minded individuals that enjoyed the same types of things so that we could inspire each other and just enjoy learning from each other. Yesterday, before I get into the garden tour, I have to tell you about yesterday. My husband and I went on a garden walk yesterday that was put on by a church, and it was at 5 different homes. And I don't know about you, but I like touring other people's gardens to get inspiration and ideas. Now, a lot of times, of course, maybe you can't implement exactly what they have, or it's on the wrong scale, but most of the times I try to look for things like, how could I take maybe that one plant or that one idea, and is there any way I can implement that in the garden? And I found it very funny because, like I said, my husband went with me, and he's not a big gardener at all. He's getting more into it because I'm pulling him along with me, and he's helping me out in the yard some now, in the garden, and doing projects with me. But it's not really his thing, but he did go with me, and his takeaway, which I appreciated, was, I think we need some more lighting in the garden. So after our garden tour yesterday and going through these 5 different gardens, guess what we did? We made a trip to Lowe's and bought some little solar spotlights to put in the front garden and the back garden. So we will be working on that. So I've got a few of those to put some more focus in specific spots in the garden that I want to light up. That was our takeaway, one of our takeaways. One of the gardens I've seen had lots of beautiful different evergreens in it. Sizes, shapes, colors, just gorgeous. And that was an idea that inspired me. How could I put more evergreen interest? Because we are in Illinois, in Zone 5, so we have a long period in winter that is totally snow-covered and very gray, cloudy, as you'd say, cold weather. So you're not out in the garden, but you want that winter interest to look out the windows and be able to see beautiful things. And that's where evergreens will come into play, getting those different colors, textures, sizes. So that was something that inspired me yesterday on the garden walk. So comment below, tell me, do you like going on garden walks or visiting other gardens and get inspired? And what are some of the inspirations that you have found when you visited other people's gardens? Were there things that you could take away and initiate in your garden? Or in some cases, there are things, one of the gardens had a great big water feature with fish in it, which was really pretty, but it's probably not something I would implement in my garden. But I can appreciate that and enjoy seeing the beauty in somebody else's yard and how they've enhanced their living space. So let's get going on the July garden, and I hope you enjoy the tour. Come along with me. Okay, so this is the north side of our property, right next to the garage, and I just wanted to show you all the beautiful variegated hostas are in bloom along the garage right now. So let's head into the backyard garden. And to give you an idea, so you can see, the little pumpkins that I just planted are out at that shed out there. And they are coming up, so I'm really thrilled about that. So all of the edging is now in. And let's go into the backyard and see how it's looking for July. Now I did change a few things around. I really liked this planter of flowers with the supertunias in it, and it has bubblegum and silverberry and jazzberry, and then it has some verbena in it, all proven winners. This was around the fountain, but I just thought it was such a pretty accent here when you first come into the backyard garden, because you're gonna see the garden house. And let me back up a little bit more. It's just that nice pop of color. And I just love annuals. They perform so well in the garden and help when other things aren't in bloom. Perennials and shrubs aren't in bloom and are just green. The annuals just bring life to the garden. So as you can see, the little shrubs are doing well. I'm waiting for these little lilacs to bloom. Those are the bloomerangs, and I did transplant those from a shady area because they just weren't performing well. And I have one on each side of the white creme brulee. And so I think those will be a really pretty pop of lavender purple once they start blooming. You can see my little lime hydrangea is starting to bloom. Now the ones in the back are limelights, and I bought those at the beginning of the season, and they were in bloom at the beginning of the season. So you can see the hot weather has started to really turn those brown. And then we've got one of the David Austin roses is just starting to get a little pink bloom on it, so I can't wait to see. But I was thinking this one was supposed to be Princess Alexander, which is more of a hot pink, so maybe not. Maybe that's Scepter d'Isle. And on this side, right over here, maybe that one's Princess Alexandra. We'll have to see. Now this was a pretty rose. It smells very fragrant, and I picked this up earlier in the season at Home Depot, and it's performing really well. The blooms don't last very long on it, but they are really pretty, and I really like that pink shade. And it smells really good. But keep in mind too, this is only probably less than 2 months old. So it'll be interesting to see next season how it looks. And of course over my window boxes, and that would be on the west side of the garden house, are just doing fabulous. So that's bubblegum, supertunia, and the jazzberry again, the silverberry, purple verbena, and the sweet Carolina potato vine, and just doing awesome. I've got some delphinium, some salvia blooming. Then let's head this way, and I'll get a front shot of the garden house, and you can see the window boxes on the front are just looking fabulous too. We've got the, now this one has a little bit of different. I did do the bubblegum again to carry that look throughout, and then the purple super verbena, but that's Daybreak Charm. The little pink one is Daybreak Charm. There is potato vine in there, and I did plant white geraniums in there, but they got choked out with all of the supertunia action. So now I know that for next year. You know, gardening is always an experiment. So Down here, the variegated catmint, looking beautiful. Now, I had never seen this before, and I picked this up in a little family-owned greenhouse up by Chicago. And the foxglove is looking really pretty. Another pink rose. Now this was a different variety, but also picked up, I've got 2 of those, and I picked those up at Home Depot. And here's the other one. And again, all this stuff is new. All this is new planted area. So these are only a few weeks in the ground. There's the Quick Fire Fab is starting to bloom. And that's a hydrangea or hydrangea. Back in the back, the white rose, that's Bolero. And it was pretty today, but that was just opened, so they don't last long. But again, you know, that could change over time because they are new. I have to show you this. Look how tall this annual is. Isn't that gorgeous? And that's Cleome. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right, but I love this. I love this in a vase in the house as a filler flower. It does have sharp spikes on it though, kind of like a rose, so you got to be careful if you're cutting it. And I have to show you my Eden rose that I was so concerned about at the beginning of the season. Look, I have blooms on it. I am so thrilled. So it bounced back and it is looking great. It is getting huge. The variegated honeysuckle is doing really well, and it's starting to put little berries on it. And I did not realize, because I just planted this last year, I did not realize that it got berries on it. So then we've got some, I had showed you this. This is, I think, I'm trying to remember, but it's called Pink Sparkler. And look, it's starting to bloom again, and it's got all kinds of, I did a trim on it, and it didn't say to, but the heads on it just kind of, well here, I missed one, you can see. They just didn't look very pretty. So I went ahead and trimmed it all up, and now that's forcing it to rebloom. So that should be really pretty when it blooms again. And I did want to encourage all of you, if you have new areas, that this has all been developed fairly recently. I started, now the arborvitaes, the line of arborvitaes, this first row here, we planted in around 2015, and the only thing that was here was the arborvitaes, and then I had 4 knockout roses that I planted, and other than that, everything else was grass. All of this has been added on over time, and then of course I've done quite a bit this season and expanded the gardens and planted quite a bit. So looking forward to how everything's going, growing. That is a Quick Fire, and it is the tidbit. I have not tried the tidbit, so I'm curious to see how big that gets. That's supposed to be the littlest one in the hydrangea family from Proven Winners for the Quick Fires. So we'll see how big that gets. That pretty phlox I was showing you right there, it's getting all kinds of new blooms on it, but I'll warn you, if you have rabbits and deal with rabbits in your garden, the rabbits found that and came through and chewed off all the heads. I had to wrap it in chicken wire to protect it, so just be aware. There's a pretty rose right there. That is one of the new ones that I planted from High Country. So it's only been in the ground for a few weeks and taken off really well. And if you remember from that video, those were little tiny roses that I got in the mail. We've got an incredible hydrangea there that I covered because the rabbits came and bit off one of the heads on that too, which I didn't think that they liked those, but I suppose they'll try anything. Look at the Casablanca lilies. They are just gorgeous. They just started opening about 2 days ago. And so I planted those as bulbs last year, and I would like to add more of those in the garden. I think those, and I did add a pack this year that I'd picked up at Lowe's at the beginning of the season, but I don't think they made it. So, but I would like to get some more. The David Austin roses are looking good over here. That one is Desmona. I may be saying that right, may not be. This one's Olivia. Look how pretty Olivia is. Now this is their second season, so both of those. And Olivia has gotten much taller. And this one, it is its second season also, but the other two were bare root, and this was not. I bought this at a garden nursery in a pot last year, but I moved it, transplanted it this spring, so I think that's why it's smaller. But this is Boscobel from David Austin, so it's very pretty also. The urns, let me back up so you can see how the urns are looking. They're doing fabulous. And those are proven winners. The Mini Vista petunias. And then we've got the, this is the Creeping Jenny. And then of course the purple Superbena. So doing well. In the back, guys, back here in the corner, that's a silverberry, and that is, it came up on its own. I had a hanging basket on a hook last year on that post, and it must have, the seeds must have dropped, and it just went crazy. So that's a volunteer. I've got some purple cone flower back there, and the clematis are done now. They're finishing up the purple jacklemanias, and I do have them wrapped because the rabbits will come through and bite those off at down at the base. So they have to be wrapped. There's a David Austin rose, and that's Winchester Cathedral. And you can see it's white, but it's also a pale pink. Look at the buds on it. The buds start out with a little bit of a pink tinge. You can see them down here. They're a little bit more pink. And then they open up to that creamy white. Very pretty. And if you're hearing a plane in the background, I think they're doing the fields, crop dust in the fields. Because we were out and about today and seen one dusting, so I think it's that time of this season where they're out doing the fields. Okay, I've got a pretty foxglove. It's a peachy color, and this whole thing was just loaded, and we're down to just a few, but it's still really pretty. That's a white catmint, kind of a real more white lavender. I mean, real light lavender, but it's doing very well. And then not much happening on this gas plant that I bought from Hornbakers at the beginning of the season. I mean, it's doing fine there, but it hasn't put hardly any growth on it. So maybe they take time. I've never bought one of those before. First time in the garden with it, so maybe they're a very slow grower, I don't know. The Sun Impatient, I did end up planting. I had it in a pot, and it just was not happy in a pot. So I put it out under the magnolia out here, and it seems to like it a lot better in that spot. That's a little lime that I just planted a few weeks ago, and it's looking really pretty. And then we've got some snapdragons in the back there in the yellow and the magenta color. And I did those from seed. I'm not much of a seed grower in the winter time, but I did do those, and I did the foxglove here from seed. And I had just two little square flats that I did, one with snapdragons and one with foxglove, and had them in my home office and took care of them all winter, or not all winter, but January, February. And they're doing good, and it was fun to watch them grow, you know, in the winter time when there's nothing out. And this area is doing really well. Actually, I can't believe it, my violas are still alive. Usually by now it's so hot for them they don't make it, but I think the lilac here is between the lilac and the rose, it's kind of shading them. And that's a little quick fire, not the tidbit and not the full size. It gets 3 to 5 feet, and it's just starting to get some blooms on it. And I think I may have to move it because I planted this magnolia tree this season to have it match the one on the other side so it'll grow up tall. So I may end up moving that. And this is just my little bit of annuals that I planted in here for color. And the snapdragons and the foxglove are more of those seeds that I had planted. And then some of the snapdragons I purchased. Okay, look at this Eden rose. This is the dark pink one. Look how crazy it's gotten. Now this is its second season, and I bought this mail order last year from an Etsy grower in Oregon, and when she sent me the little plants, they looked so nice, the roses that I purchased from her. And this came as not bare root. It was a little live plant, but it was, you know, super tiny. And I just can't believe this is, like I said, season 2, and it is really growing up that tutor. And then I didn't mention in the back there on the pretty trellis, that is Perfume Breeze, and it has little tiny pink roses all over it. And it's gotten so big too, it's got a little offshoot that now I've put on the tutor in the back. The hanging basket looks nice, the bird bath there, the other white rose is doing well. This is all new area that I planted up and actually expanded all this area. And my air condition cover that I was telling you about in one of my videos not too long ago that we just put in. And then we've got the matching mirrored side here, and also pulled this out. So this was only a few feet from the house, and so this is all new garden bed pulled out. And that planter is doing really well back there too. And that has the double impatience, the Rocco Poco proven winners, double impatience, and the hippo white. It's filling in nicely and likes this shady area here. It gets some sun, but mostly shade. Okay, in the fountain area. The fountain area is looking good. I ended up just putting 2 planters there back because, like I said, I wanted to use them in the yard and other places. And I just thought with the whole boxwood ring, it would be a little bit much. And it's going to take time for all these boxwood to grow in. But I'm really liking it, and really liking the new base my husband built for the fountain, and just enjoying having the fountain on. So the garden is looking really pretty. The little bistro set that has a jazzberry on it, Supertunia, and it's really pretty and goes well with all the other colors in the annuals. But I would highly recommend annuals just for the color, because I do have a lot of green. This one here, my daughter had purchased for me for Mother's Day, and I cut that all back around 4th of July because it had gotten real leggy. And that's a regular petunia. That's not a Proven Winners one. But it's coming back really nicely and filling it out. And it was all the way to the ground, so it has some growing to do. Oh, and then I got another volunteer petunia over here that just started a couple weeks ago. Look at that, guys. Just decided to start right there, and I thought, well, it's pretty, it adds some color. And then the Generous Gardener roses on the trellis are doing well. So I have a few of them, and again, these have only been in the ground for a few months too, so it's their first season. Well, I just wanted to give you an update here in mid-July of the backyard garden and how beautiful it's looking and how much I'm enjoying all of this work that we've been doing, and how pretty I think it's turned out and how well everything is growing. And it really helped that we recently got some rain. As you know, it just really helps everything grow. So thanks for stopping by, and I will see you in the next one.